Her religion, if she has one, is mocking God. If she's atheist, she's mocking God. He's mocking justice, romantic justice, including for women to get raped, children to get abused, which is all by the opposition view. And the mouth of the wicked gulps down evil, and she's gulping down evil, spiritually and figuratively speaking. Again, that leads us to verse 29. It's not a coincidence that it comes right after that. Penalties are prepared for mockers, and beatings for the back of fools. If a female should be beat and thrown into hell forever for rejecting me, if that's what God is saying through the Bible, through the top martial arts ever, should she reject me? No. If she does, is she a dumb, useless worm? Yes. If she brags and says, well, I rejected him. I rejected him for you, honey. Is that a disgrace to the extreme? Is that idolatry? Is that mocking and scoffing? Is that falsehood? Yes. So remember that they're changing my voice. I think we're on like part 5 or so. Now, we see that in Proverbs 25, it says the purposes of a person's heart are deep waters, but one who has insight draws them out. If you have the insight to draw them out, okay, in the divine order, as someone who's righteous, are you better than people who don't? Yes. So a lot of you, I would hope the vast majority of people who see this video series immediately say, he's right. This is 1 + 1 = 2 type of stuff, okay? Character and characteristic, degree of righteousness. God is more holy than John the Baptist. Are you going to say they're equal? No, there's an order. Jesus is above. John the Baptist said that Christ was above him in the New Testament. But there's a lot of commies who are funded by white supremacists. And this really is a conservative planet because they're trying to conserve white supremacy. The political liberalism that you see is just a ruse to, kind of good cop, bad cop psychology. They're both serving the conservative institution of the police force and of the state and the governing class. Okay, so one of them is just the good cop, right? The liberal. But it's just an act to get you to fall in line with the order that they're trying to conserve. These are old money people. You think they want to distribute their money, or you think they want to conserve their money and power and their traditions and their crests and their Freemasons and their social clubs and their quote-unquote royal families and so on and so forth. So they're conservatives where it matters most, whether they're gay, whether they want, a green planet or whatever. Okay. We'll get to Proverbs 26, right? Many claim to have unfailing love, but a faithful person who can have. Okay, without me remembering this scripture, even though I have it in my notes highlighted, it's kind of in the subconscious, all those things that make it so you're right when you say what I said about the unfailing love before. Okay, is what a person desires is unfailing love, better to be poor than a liar. That's Proverbs 19:22, and we see in Proverbs 20, verse 6, it says, many claim to have that unfailing love. Right? There's many a rich person trying to be Prince Charming or something, trying to be the prince from Snow White, right? In the military, they're propaganda, right? Some government official, some corporate guy, some guy in the church. There's a lot of people who try to pretend that they have some kind of heroic love or transcendent love, a divine love. They try to pretend that they have unfailing love, but they're not faithful to God, or they obey God through me, so they failed to have love. But a faithful person who can find, here I am, like it says in Isaiah, all day long I called out to an unfaithful people. In this case, all the peoples of the world, they're all unfaithful. I said, here am I. But they did not want to listen. They did not want to do the work of God. The righteous lead blameless lives. Blessed are their children after them. It's not a coincidence that it says the righteous lead blameless lives. Blessed are their children after them. After that, where in the chapters leading up to this, it made it clear that the rich are wicked. Just like in Proverbs 28 and Luke 1. Okay, and Christ is a character in the story with the parable or the story of the camel and the eye of the needle. It's easier for a camel to get through the eye of a needle than for a rich person to get into heaven. His disciples mistakenly said, then who can get to heaven? Because they didn't understand Proverbs, which goes on and on about how rich people are the furthest from heaven, generally speaking and basically. And of course, At this point, no rich people are good. What did Christ tell the person to do? He said, sell all your possessions because your wealth is coming between you and Christ and God. And in this case, since we need to build a massive organization to try to do as much good as possible before my flesh dies and it's over, they should come together with me and form a massive nonprofit or some kind of organization that builds homes for people, brings people in, first order of business, a moral committee, and transparency, not like the government, accountability. I don't think these things will ever happen. Okay? My flesh will die, and if someone else tries to do it, it'll just be some worm pretending to continue my work, but they can't actually continue it. However, it is my duty to explain that, even though I'm part Nigerian and there's a bunch of Nigerians scamming people, even though we're talking about money is awkward and all the problems that comes with it. I'll live a humble life, no matter what the situation is. But I'm going to tell you the truth. The moral committee, a moral committee of people, the least moral seeming of them will clearly be more moral than the most moral politician or corporate person. A moral committee, a moral order. After I die, I'll lay such a moral foundation that there'll still be some semblance of morality continuing if that committee continues. And if they're in the divine order, okay, again, no one would be reproducing, right? Tubes tied, what have you. Then a lot of good could be done. Point number 8, when a king sits on his throne to judge, he winnows out evil with his eyes. Is Proverbs 28 saying not to judge? No, it says when a king sits on his throne to judge. Is it saying that judges shouldn't be the name of a book in the Bible? Is it saying that in a perfect government that judges shouldn't judge? No, it says when a king sits on his throne to judge. To do what? To judge. He winnows out evil with his eyes. So who's a true king? He's insightful. Who's more insightful than the top martial arts ever possible? Does the king wear a chemistry kit or a sword? Does he fly a drone or have a sword? Who can say, I've kept my heart pure, I am clean and without sin? Differing weights and differing measures, the Lord detests them both. So again, if you have a different measure, then the only way to be righteous is to obey God in the divine order, the throne established in righteousness, not the throne of this world, but my throne. In the heavens it is known. The top martial arts ever possible throne. And God detests it. Differing weights and differing measures, the Lord detests them both. Proverbs 20, 10, and I believe it's Proverbs 16:11, which is right before Proverbs 16:12, it says the throne is established in righteousness, and right after Proverbs 16:10, which says a divine verdict is on the lips of a king. Okay, it says the same thing. The Lord detests dishonest scales. Even small children are known by their actions. By their actions. So is their conduct really impure? Is their conduct really pure and upright? Even small children are known by their actions, so is their conduct really pure and upright? So attractive females as a group, shunning me. Though I've been looking for them on 7 different websites and in 10 different cities, on and on and on, in the most populated state, looking far and wide across the world. My ex-fiance lived in Greece, right? Looking all over the world for them. Is the actions of the attractive females all over the world pure and upright? No. We can look at their collective actions when they all put their heads together in feminist groups and police groups and whatever groups they're a part of, corporate groups, corporate partnerships, female products, what have you. And say not a single culture is pure and upright, but I, God's Son, am pure and upright. Who should rule over who? Who should submit to who? Are we equal? No. Pure and upright is better. Again, Proverbs 19:1, the word better is used. Better the poor whose walk is blameless than a fool whose lips are perverse. Better the most righteous person that ever lived than all the other people in the world, or than all the attractive female in the world putting their heads together saying, I think he's wrong, but I can't prove it, but I have a gut feeling, and my actions aren't pure or upright, but I want you to believe me.